We Need Each Other is a podcast about the importance of human interaction. It provides reminders that we are not intended to live in isolation. Human beings need each other. The things about another that pisses you off and the things that take you over the moon are all opportunities to see through another's eyes, recognize their intrinsic value, and then look more deeply within ourselves to find the love that's always there. Well, we need each other. This woman here, I needed to know her in my life. It's interesting how we met. I don't know if she remembers the story, but let me read her bio first and we'll go from there. This is Arlene Hylton. She has been a minister with Agape International Spiritual Center, spearheaded by its founding minister, Michael Bernard Beckwith. Arlene is director of Agape's Living Foods Ministry, which focuses on eating whole live foods to honor the body as a temple. Additionally, Arlene is the spiritual director of Safe Harbor Treatment Center for Women located in Costa, Mesa. And as such, she supports women in their healing by teaching spiritual principles, spiritual modalities, and practical daily application, such as affirmative prayer, meditation, intentional living, gratitude. May 21st, 2018, Reverend Arlene was awarded by Congress, the Senate, the County of Los Angeles, the state controller, and congressional recognition for her contribution to society through her work at Agape International Spiritual Center and Safe Harbor Treatment Center for Women. On March 17, 2019, Reverend Arlene was also awarded by the Season of Nonviolence organization. I am so delighted to welcome Reverend Arlene Hylton. Oh, she and I met. I have been back in Los Angeles, 10 and a half years, something like that. And I am a founding member of Agape International Spiritual Center. So, of course, when I went to Agape, I saw this woman in the hallway, didn't have a clue who she was, and walked up to her and said, we should know each other. We're supposed to know each other, something of that nature. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I don't even remember exactly what the words were, and I didn't know why. But, Reverend Arlene and I both live from inner guidance. We both are honoring of our intuition and knowing that there's something that guides and directs us. So when I heard it, I just went with it. And, years later, it proved to be absolutely true that we were to know each other. I started the women's ministry at Agape, and Arlene said yes when I asked her to participate in it. Then she started the Living Foods ministry. I heard at one point, because I sang in the choir, and Reverend Arlene was speaking that day. Do you remember this? And I heard that we were to do a retreat together in Jamaica. And 2 years later, it took a while. 2 years later, we did an amazing women's retreat in Jamaica. And it was so beautiful to see Reverend Arlene in Jamaica because that is her home, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I do want to ask her a little bit about the food. And because I hate to use the word concern, but I'm going to use concern for lack of a better word. With this virus that's out there, we're not being taught things that we could be doing to increase our level of health and be less in fear about what this virus is about, because we've had many viruses. And I hear H1N1, I think, was a more dangerous virus than COVID is, that I've read. So I want to talk a little bit about how long you've been studying the health benefits of food.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's interesting. I really have gone by guidance as far as what to do while this whole quarantine has happened. I mean, it's literally a world quarantine, and one of the things I decided to do was learn as much as I could about the what can I do for the immune system? What do we need? And it's interesting because some of the things from my own personal understanding, I know other people have different understandings, but my understanding was that what we need right now is vitamin D. We need sunshine, where one of the things
about it
to do was stay inside. So I don't care if you open up a window and just sit in front of the sunlight for at least 20 minutes or so. But, I'm just realizing there's so many things that go together as well as what you're eating. So what I did as far as eating is I did decide to add other things that I hadn't added before. And actually, Reverend Michael had this personal list that was just a personal thing that people who knew him, knew about. And it was things like adding more vitamin D3, adding B12, using things for the immune system. I have my whole cabinet full of stuff, zinc, and, just certain things that are going to support our immune system and being strong. And so that's what I did. I increased so much of it. When the pandemic started last year, we were in the middle of I'm Keeping True, which is my I have 2 yearly fasts where everyone goes vegan and they deepen their prayer work and all that. We literally deepened our prayer work. We were on the phones in the morning. We were on the phone at night. We were eating vegan. We just took it to a new level, to the point where some people did the Lent season of I'm Keeping True and the Ramadan season, and we just went straight through. So some people did like 75 days with me straight, and then I did over 120 days straight, just doing that to strengthen us and to support us through that time. And I believe it's really helped carry people. And actually, what's interesting, I'm Keeping True is about to start again.
Yeah.
But I just really believe and know that what we put in our physical bodies matters. And I believe that meat, the energetic of meat, dead flesh, is not supportive of living a life of enlightenment. Not that, let me just be clear. It's not that every vegan is enlightened, because I've met some vegans who are, doing their own thing, and hey, good for them. But what it does mean is that our bodies aren't spending its time breaking down foods that are not, we're eating meat. And the main thing we want from that meat is what the meat ate, which was vegetables, what the cow ate was grass, we're trying to get from meat what was sourced to, properly. I'm not talking about fed corn and all that stuff, but we're really trying to get to the natural foods, the foods of the earth.
And our food and our body goes through so much work to try to get to that.
Yes,
when we eat meat. Yes.
And I say, go to the source, and I'm just going to say something, I know a lot of people go to Jesus, and I go straight to God. Although Jesus was a great teacher and avatar, and these things I have done, you shall do also. I know, and I study the love that Jesus is, and I go to God, and so instead of going to meat, I go to vegetables. I go to organic, holistic food. And yes, people will say, well, organic, we don't know if it's organic. Look, we do the best we can, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so for the past,
we know when it's not organic, for sure. Right.
Past 13 years, I have been 100% vegan, and I do believe that it has supported me all these years. I'm 55 years young, yet I feel like, I don't even know, 35. I feel like I felt when I was 25. So that's some good feeling right there. But before that, I was actually vegetarian, and I gave up beef at like 18. I gave up pork at 13. So this has been a quest. But right back to this time, I believe that has supported me through this time, through what's happening now. I have a quote I'd like to read to you by Charles Fillmore.
Yes. Go ahead.
I actually was with Unity years ago, Unity of Brookline, Boston. I was with Johnny Coleman, which
Me
is
too.
one of the first. Johnny Coleman was the first to come out of Unity, African-American women. She didn't really follow the foods of Charles Fillmore, but I did. And so Charles Fillmore and his wife, Myrtle Fillmore, because people forget about Myrtle, okay?
Yes, exactly.
Myrtle is the reason why Charles Fillmore started on his path, okay? And I could say that about someone else, but I'm going to let that go. Okay. So here we go. It says the desire to demonstrate love universal is lifting thousands out of every form of cruelty that with selfishness has claimed is necessary to man's well-being. Therefore, in the light of the truth that God is love and that Jesus came to make his love manifest in the world, we cannot believe that it is in his will for men or women to eat meat or to do anything else that would cause suffering to the innocent and the helpless. That's one quote. And then I want to just look at one more quote. This was written in May 1920 from the Vegetarian, the writing of Charles Fillmore. The second one, we need never look for universal peace on this earth until men stop killing animals for food. The lust for blood has permeated the race thought, and the destruction of life will continue to repeat its psychology the world round until men willingly observe the law in all phases of life. Thou shalt not kill.
Mm-hmm.
So, some of what I wanted to tap into. Yes.
That shift is a difficult one for a lot of people, particularly
Absolutely.
Black people of color, who is really my biggest concern right now at where we are in life. So my question would be to that person who maybe they don't eat pork anymore, but they eat beef and everything else, and maybe they are a little bit conscious, trying to be, but they don't really know how. What would you advise them? What are some simple things that they could do? What maybe might you recommend that they take out of their diet, and what would they put into their diet to help them to get started?
Well, I believe something that is very simple is to start with something as simple as vegan Mondays. You know what I mean? Every Monday go vegan. Every Monday just release all animal anything from what you're eating. Release all meat and all, I call them animal secretions. These are my own words. But dairy, cheese, all those, just release them for one day. Just one day a week, and just see how that unfolds. Also, if you're going to eat meat, eat double vegetables. So this method I learned years ago where if you're eating meat, it's no larger than your fist, and then you double the vegetable intake that you take. And that can help you, lower your flesh intake, what you eat. And people can feel a difference in that. The challenge I think that happens is people go extreme. They just want to completely,
yes, exactly.
They go from meat eaters to vegan. First of all, that doesn't make any sense. So to go into vegetarian and then go to vegan, simple things like that can make a difference. Now, in my programs, people do completely drop eating meat and all animal products for 47 days and for 30 days. But the difference is every morning we're on the phone praying. Every day we have readings. Every day we have writings. Every day they get a video, of a prayer for the day. We have prayer partners. Once a week we meet for an hour, so we get to discuss these things. I have a chef come in that shows how to do certain things, so it's a different vibration than someone sitting at home trying to drop it all at one time. Now, I must say there are people who can do that. There are people who do that. There are people who decided to stop smoking. They dropped it. They don't smoke anymore. It's possible. Yet, what I've just given you is just some methods that could support you.
And I think that's a very good way to look at it, because I think if a person is seriously on a path of wanting to make a change, that's an easy way to do it. It's one day out of the week that they get to realize that on that day, they actually do feel better. And then maybe it turns into two, and maybe it turns into a lifestyle.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I've had people who have done my program who have literally years later. I recently received a letter from someone who said, Rev, you don't even know this, but I've stayed vegan since I did your program. I
Mm.
never went back. Or some who say I eat less meat than I used to. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you how big the meat industry is. And
Mm.
I remember when Oprah spoke out about beef and they sued her. Now she
Oh, I
won.
remember that. Yes.
That just shows you how much we are just dollar bills to these people.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
What about the cholesterol? What about all those things? None of that is being talked about. And the thing, let's bring it forward now about what's going on with this virus. Who is
Mhm.
it hitting the most? People who are dealing with health issues, diabetes, people are being attacked by this virus who are not of good health. And I just know that many of our diseases of the body can be healed through eating. And
Yes.
am I an expert? I am not an expert, yet I can lead you to experts.
Yes. 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 So, are there foods that are particularly beneficial for people according to their ethnicity?
I've never really studied that. I want to be honest with you because I
Mhm.
know, first of all, I know that if you really go back and look at humanity as a whole, we walk upright so that
Mhm.
we can reach the fruits, we can walk the limbs of the trees. We walk upright for a reason, and I believe that we are here to eat the fruits of spirit. We're here to eat of the bounty. And I believe that, yes, if you're from certain backgrounds or certain cultures, there may be
Mhm.
particular foods, and I would look into that. Yet for me, like being Jamaican, I know that there are fruits that grow in Jamaica that when I eat them, I feel energized and vitalized and things like that. So I'm sure there is some theory. Yet my thing is get as much vegetables, green leafy vegetables in as much
Mhm.
as you can. And I am a believer of fruit. If you're going to have sugar from fruit instead of some white
Mhm.
processed sugar. There's a lot of great documentaries that are out too that are really, really great with giving you information about how we eat. But as far as ethnicity, I haven't gone into that. I just know that I am a woman of color. I am of African descent. I mean, in the Jamaican culture, we have Chinese and Indian and all kind of things in our background. And I know that when I eat these living foods, these fruits, these vegetables, I feel good. And
Mhm.
remembering that in my culture, in the Jamaican culture, a lot of British foods were introduced. So we can't break it all down like that. I'm just saying, get some living foods in you.
Well, I know one of the things that you mentioned was vitamin D. And the one thing that I do know is that Black people have the greatest deficiency of vitamin D because of the melanin in our system.
Absolutely. We
And
are.
so everyone needs to be mindful of it, but Black people in particular need to be mindful of eating foods, supplementing, and being in that sun.
Let me just say this. Wonderful you say that because for myself, every chance I can get to go to the beach, I'm there. As a matter of fact, every Friday at my treatment center, we go to the beach. We go to the beach
Mm.
to meditate. We go to the beach to shout our affirmations out. And I know that sunshine, that sunlight, and you are absolutely right. Remember, I worked in cosmetics. I was a makeup artist.
Mm.
Know skincare. I know skin, the dermis, the epidermis. I know all that. And yes, we have the most. That's why, yeah, we don't wrinkle. We may sag, but we don't wrinkle because of our protection. But we also need more sun.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Considerably more
Mhm,
sun. Yes.
mhm.
So, you've talked about being from Jamaica and, that you were a makeup artist and things. So let's talk a little bit about your background. Tell us, how did you get here from Jamaica?
Well, it's interesting because I'll try to make it as quick as possible. Not quick, but just to condense it. Coming to America with my father's side of the family. My mother was 18 when she had me. She decided to move forward her education. Her mother demanded that she got educated and got a degree. And my mother brought me to my father's family and said, "Can you take care of my daughter?"
Mm.
And my father's family migrated to America not too far after and brought me with them.
Mhm.
And so coming to America, as I'm looking at a lot that's going on in the world right now with race, a lot of my difficulties as a child was, one, I had an accent. So I literally stood in the mirror and made myself lose my accent. My grandfather bought an apartment building. We were the first African anybody in the neighborhood. And I remember standing, one day I was coming home from school, and my aunt normally came to pick me up from school, but this day she was late. And I said, I'm going to walk home. So I went ahead and walked home. And the patrol boy, remember the patrol boys?
Yes.
Actually, later on, I became a patrol girl. But the patrol boy was on the corner, and one of his friends was with him. And I was walking home, and he said, "Oh, I see you have an N on your block, an N word on your block." And I had no idea what that meant. And I saw the boy go, shh, shh, like he hushed him and said, "Her mother is right there." And so I went home, and I didn't ask my aunt what it meant. I just knew it didn't mean something good. The way he said it, it was so visceral. You got an N on your block now. So anyway, that was an encounter. But I want to say that as I continue to grow, the difficulty I had was with African American youth who said that I was not Black, even though my skin is nice and rich and dark and luscious.
Yes, it is.
That I wasn't Black because I had an accent or because I didn't speak with slang. And I remember just trying to make myself lose my accent. I remember the fights I got in. I remember getting chased home. And the crazy part about getting chased home was that my family would make me go back out there. My aunt specifically, because she was like, "You're not going to get chased home. You're going to go beat the crap out of them." And I used to get chased out of the house to go back and fight. So that was, I don't know, now that could be considered trauma.
Yeah, that's right. But you lived through it.
And then as I continue to grow later on, becoming my biggest, longest run was as a makeup artist. I was always the one of color in a predominantly Caucasian environment. Yet I felt good. I felt comfortable about me because my work was work of excellence. And when you work of excellence, nobody can touch that, you know? And so I ended up, my life just revolved around beauty, like supporting individuals and seeing their beauty. I started in that business at 19, and I just stopped in 2000. Wait, look at me, 2000. Yeah. I just stopped in 2010 to become a makeup artist. But, to become a
minister?
The spiritual director of Safe Harbor. And I graduated as a minister in 2010 from Agape International Spiritual Center. So I know that's a quick preview, but I'm just saying I've traveled in many arenas. You know what I mean? I've traveled in the arena of a young woman coming to America and the abuse that I got then, boys not wanting to go, not interested in me because my skin was too dark, having an accent, having to lose it, then in an industry where I'm the one, but I was one of the best ones in the work that I did, and then being called into this industry. And what's interesting, working with people who are in recovery now, what's interesting as I look at my life, I look at the fact that many times I was the first one. So I was the first regional makeup artist for Clarins USA. It's a French company, but the USA division, because a individual who happened to be a Caucasian man, Russell, knew that I could do it. And the program expands and does phenomenal, right?
Yes.
And then here I am at this treatment center. A woman sees me, a Caucasian woman, actually a little Italian woman, sees me, knows that I'm the one for her treatment center. And then, I end up working there. I'm the first and only one she's ever had as a spiritual director. And we do phenomenal with it. And 11 years later, I'm still there. You know what I mean? I worked for that other company 18 years. So I can do a run. You know what I mean? I've been at Agape running the teen ministry for 19 years. Like, I'm committed and I'm in it. But I also look at all that I get to tap into with my work in the world, from recovery to teenagers to beauty on the outside to beauty on the inside. It's so full and so lush. That's the word it's so full and so lush, Francesca.
What I hear is your experience of the world is an experience of someone who lives from the inside out. Because if you were living in what the world says and tells you to think about yourself and makes you believe like, oh my God, I'm the only little Black girl here. So what, like if you're living from that draw to the outside world, your experiences are different. I remember, if you don't know Reverend Arlene, she has the most long, gorgeous, beautiful locks. Mm-hmm. And when I moved from Los Angeles to Denver, I was wearing locks and never considered that to be a problem in Lily White, Denver, Colorado. And it never, ever was. It did not stop them from hiring me. But after I began to work for them, I would read articles in magazines where Black women would say, I really would like to wear locks, but I know I just can't get away with it in corporate America. And it's because you're living from the outside instead of living from the inside.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I'm going to tell you something that happened. I always loved locks. So when my family took me back home, when we would go to Jamaica to visit, we would do 3-week vacations because my family feel like 1 week vacation is a waste of time. So we would go to Jamaica for 3 weeks and I would see Rastas, and I had a love for Bob Marley, which I still have. I have a whole shelf of Bob Marley at my apartment. I have a love for Rastas. I just had this thing. It was like in my DNA. I don't know what it was, but it was. And so I would go home and I would look at these Rastas and I wanted to lock my hair. And working for a French company, my story was, I can't have locks. They're too ethnic. Then I came to Agape, California from Boston, saw Ricky, saw Reverend Michael. Reverend Michael had just started his locks then. And I was like, I'm going to grow my locks. And I finally let go. This woman named Nadira Belcher started my locks. She was in a choir.
Oh, yes, Nadira. Yes.
My locks didn't start until I came to Agape, but I had the story. And let me tell you something about the stories we can create.
Yes.
I remember we had a big party, and the company I work for, Clarence, my boss, Russell, and these other people, and I don't normally use the word boss, but he was actually a good friend too. Russell was like, look at your hair. Is that your hair? And I was like, yes. And he was intrigued by it, and they loved my locks.
Yes.
I made up this story.
Yes, exactly.
That having locks was too ethnic and they wouldn't accept it. They didn't give a fruit. All they cared about was my numbers, and my numbers.
That's exactly right, Reverend Arlene.
My exactly good. I was one of their top salespeople.
Yep.
And so it's so funny because I just put my Clarence face cream on today. I'm laughing. But anyway, so I just consider also some of it can be the stories that I make up in my head. But yeah, you're right. And remember also when I was younger in high school, dark-skinned girls weren't in. And that was just the culture at the time. It was like if you were not lighter skinned with long hair, that's what I dealt with. I'm not saying that was reality of everyone, but let me tell you, I did finally get proof that it was real because my brother said to me, hey, did you go to school with so-and-so? And I said, yes. And he said, oh, yeah, he had a crush on you, but he didn't ask you out because the other team members on the football team said that you were too dark. So it was real and it was alive, and I lived in that thinking my skin was too dark, my nose was too big, my lips were too big. And then I end up in an industry where people are tanning, they're injecting their lips.
Right. I'm teaching a class right now called Crowned that really kind of taps into what you just said. They have always known our value and our beauty, always. But we forgot because of the manipulation of our thinking and our mind. But it wasn't that they didn't know. They've always known.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because when my company flew me to France, all the makeup artists, the top makeup artists, we had a school in France. First time ever going to France in my life. I go to France and I'm there and I felt like, and the best person I can think of who really helped me embrace my rich skin tone was Naomi Campbell, right? So I go
Mhm.
to France and I feel like I'm Naomi Campbell walking down the street. The men are like looking at
Mhm.
me and they're like gesturing for me to come over and I'm like, no merci, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm looking at myself like, do I have clothes on? Because it
That's right. No,
right.
but you have beautiful black skin.
So I'm walking around feeling amazing. And then I come back to America and the brothers are like, whatever.
That's
And I know,
that colonized mind.
yeah,
The colonized mind.
I know they're not all like that because my former
Mm.
husband had rich skin and he married me. So something was good there. You know what I mean? And I know who I am and how I stand now. But as I speak to you, Francesca, I just want you to know
Mhm.
that things are being revealed as we speak. Like I'm recognizing some things right now just from this conversation about my life and how rich it has been and growing up in a Jamaican household and going to an American school and having to merge all of it. And then the light skin and the dark skin and then, the culture and the non-culture it's been a lot. It's been
Mhm.
a lot and it's been rich. And I believe right now at this point in my life, it serves me.
Mhm.
The population at my treatment center is predominantly Caucasian. And all I see before me is the divinity that is within them, which is the same divinity that is within me, which is the same divinity that is in my teens, who my teen room is from all different backgrounds, all different cultures. That is the same divinity that is in my friends. And it's all, we're all from this one presence, this one power, this one love. And I believe that is what has carried me.
Yes.
Somewhere within my spiritual DNA, I knew that I was one. I was one with this thing called life. And as I healed some of the trauma, because there was trauma, once I healed some of that trauma in my life, the view became even broader.
Mhm.
My
And
view became open.
do you believe, as I do, that that is the potential of the world that we're living in right now for more and more and more people to understand what you simply described right there?
I believe that everything that has transpired, even with the past 4 years, the government
Mhm.
with no acknowledgement of inequality, which is real and unfortunately alive, but it's not real with a capital R. It's real with a lowercase r. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
real and alive in our society. I believe that all of what we saw, all of what we're seeing right now is to wake us all up so that
Yes,
we
yes,
can
yes,
come together.
yes.
I love it when Reverend Michael says you sometimes have to have breakdown to have breakthrough.
Absolutely.
I believe this whole breakdown, and I want to say this, no president is going to be my guardian of my soul. Like,
No.
how am I standing? How am I being in my own home?
Mhm.
So there are people out there who know within their hearts that they need to start standing up for equality.
Yes.
People who know in their own souls that they have to step away from their family thinking and their old traditions. There are people
Mhm.
who know that. And I believe that when you start seeing this, there are people who are in denial, who said that racism didn't exist and that are now saying, oh my God, it does exist.
Mhm.
Oh
Mhm.
my goodness, there are systems that there are people who are waking up and they would have never woken up
Yes.
if we didn't have what we had going on. So my answer to you is yes. And
Mhm.
how can this happen in the life of others is by me being an example, Francesca. I have to live
Absolutely.
this. I can't just
Absolutely.
talk about it. I better doggone live it.
Yes. 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 Because it's not about because even from childhood, people learn from the example that they see. They don't learn from what you tell them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hmm. I'm
Yeah.
so glad to walk this path with you. I really am. I always have been. That's why I walked up to you and said, we're supposed to know each other. And though Reverend Arlene and I haven't seen well, it probably like June, I was on pulpit at Agape in June
Right.
when my heel broke on my shoe. Remember
Oh,
that?
girl, I've had to. That's so funny. You said that. Yes, it has been. But I remember. I just got to tell you this quick story. I was giving I was given a message at Agape. It was for Thanksgiving. It was my first time giving a message. And I had this jumpsuit because, I'm loving jumpsuits, right? And I don't know what possesses me to wear a jumpsuit when I'm speaking. Because if I have to go to the bathroom, you got to undo the whole thing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I just love the look of a jumpsuit. So
me too.
The restroom, and I decide instead of me unzipping the whole thing, I'm going to shimmy down in it, right? So I shimmy it down, and then the zipper breaks.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh my God, I'm running around Agape. Does anybody have a safety pin? Does anybody have a safety pin? Finally, I go to the front desk. They have a safety pin. They pin me into my jumpsuit
and throw you out.
I go on stage and I give my message. No one knew that I was pinned up from the back up, all the way up my back. I had.
That's hilarious. I love it.
Therefore, you're heel breaking. I get it. I understand. Yeah. And we still continue to deliver God's message.
That's right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
That's funny. So I just want to say thank you so much. I didn't get to say this in the beginning, but I'm honored to be here. Congratulations on this beautiful podcast that you're doing and that you're spreading the world. I think many of us have gone deeper into what we're here to do since this whole experience. On Monday nights on my page, Rev. Arlene, Cecelia, Hylton, I give a meditation every Monday night. And I started doing that. It's at 7 p.m. Pacific time. I started delivering that because I was like, well, how can I serve? Not that I needed to serve more, because I definitely serve, but it was just a calling. And then I remember Spirit saying that people need peace. So my intention was to do one peace meditation on my page on a Monday night. I'm like 30 something meditations in now.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
Continue to gift this to people during this time. It could be on peace or freedom or compassion or understanding. So this coming Monday, I'll be giving my meditation. So I just wanted to share that with you and to thank you for what you're doing now. I'm looking forward to hearing what happens with this podcast.
So tell us again your Facebook page where they can go hear the meditation.
It's Rev. Arlene Cecelia Hylton.
How do you spell Cecelia?
Cecelia.
Okay.
I just started using my middle name because of Reverend Coco. She's like, I love your middle name. So
I love your middle name.
And it's every Monday night at 7 p.m. on my page. And we're going to be moving it soon, but it's on my page for now. And it's just my gift to those who need some comfort, who need some peace, who want to learn to meditate, who want to learn to sit. I do 2 meditations each night. So
that's beautiful. Yeah. And I would advise that people tune in because we you know what? We need each other. We all need that right now. We all need that always, but we particularly need that right now. And I believe that the time of this pandemic and us moving inside was intention to move us more inward. So here's an avenue in order to do that. And I guess that people can, if they have any questions of you about food or anything else, they can message you on your Facebook page?
Definitely message me. Send me a message.
Good.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, because you have such a wealth of information. I thank you so much for saying yes. I really, really appreciate all that you've shared, more than I even expected, because your life and your background is a message in and of itself. And I appreciate your sharing it with us.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I was on Michael Coyer's talk show last Monday, and I was on his show in the morning for prayer. And so more people are, reaching out to me to be a part of what they're doing. So I did Michael Coyer's show. And then right after that, you sent me a message and I said, well, yeah,
and I didn't even know.
Yeah. I was on his show that morning. So again, thank you for the invitation. I know you'll continue to expand in your work in the world, and that, yes, we're all needed and we need one another. Yeah. We all showed up to serve humanity. That's
exactly right.
So yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right.
I hope to see you in person soon.
Yes. Give your amazing daughters my love. Give them big love to me. Morgan and Carmen, loving them up. your beautiful grandson who's grown now, I'm sure.
He's 10 years old, girl.
That means grown.
Old. Yeah, yes, it does. He is a preteen. He's about 35. Okay.
Yeah, I got you. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. Mwah. Peace and love.
Yes. All right. Big hugs. All right.
All right. Blessings.